I feel like, and
You actually.
I got it.
Boom, there it is.
Bugs Life, right?
Here you go, buddy.
New mascot.
All right, I do have a question. Like,
Sponsor us, PETA.
Welcome back to the Second Shore Podcast. I'm Josiah.
I'm Christian.
Hayden.
I'm Eli.
Like I said, this is Second Shore Podcast where the entire playbook is open. For those of you who like to listen to audio only, the Spotify link is in the description.
Yeah, so as the trade deadline approaches, we all decided that we're going to come up with some hypothetical trades that we would like to see in the next week. In addition to that, we're finally going to go back to our picks recap. We took a few weeks off, so Eli's going to let us know how everybody's doing. Luke will most likely have an audible segment. I'm not sure. And then Josie also has a trivia question for us. Okay, all right. Eli, you want to take it away with picks?
Yeah, so it's been a few weeks. So just to recap, we've had a few rough weeks. A couple weeks ago was really bad. Last week was much better. Josie led the way last week at 12-3. So just a shout out to him. I won't go through everybody's picks from the last few weeks. I will talk about how we did this past week. It was a bit rough. Hayden did lead the way going 9-4, pretty solid. Everybody else, however, went 7-6 or 6-7. And then just for the season so far, I'm leading the way at 70-36. In second place is Kelsey at 67-39. And third place is Josie at 64-42. Tied at second to last is Hayden at 63-43, along with Luke at 63-43. And then rounding it out, trying to avoid that punishment. And cold plunge is Christian at 55-51. So he's 8 back from Hayden and Luke right now, but halfway through or just under halfway through the season. So still some time to make up that record.
Yeah, and Christian has a special outfit that he's going to wear for the polar plunge and everything.
No.
I heard it involved a Speedo.
No, just swim
And
trunks.
show off your tattoos, though.
That is true.
Swim trunks.
No, we'll see. But all right, you guys want to get started with the trades?
Let's do it.
All right, who wants to start?
What are the odds Christian goes shirtless the rest of the episode? 1
This
in 10.
episode?
Out of 10. Shoot. All right.
All right, let's go.
All right. 1, 2,
3,
3,
8.
6. Oh.
You want to go shirtless?
No, I
Now,
don't.
well, so
I actually don't.
now you have to half the odds. So Luke has 1 in 5 to go shirtless the rest of the
I'm
episode.
not even on camera.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Ready? Do it.
Yeah, let's go.
Out of 1 through 5.
But if it adds up to 5, don't you have to go then? Doesn't it flip back to if it adds up to 5, then Christian goes shirtless?
I know.
All right, no. We're not making up rules. Shut up. All right, 3, 2,
No. It's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3,
4.
1.
4 + 1 = 5, Christian.
Shut up.
Look
Do your
up-
trades.
Look up what are the odds rules. All right, I guess I'll start. So my trade, I've talked about it a lot the past few weeks. I think the Giants need to get rid of Saquon, both for Saquon's sake and for the Giants' sake. It's not going to get them any closer to a Super Bowl.
Hold up. Can we talk about Penn State just real quick?
Shut up.
What happened this week?
Oh, I don't mind talking about it. I mean, offense looked awful. They lost to the number 3 team in the nation on the road in one possession game, and it sucked. But
It's the most
season's not over.
overblown rivalry.
It's not really. I don't think
All right,
either
and
team
you're
really.
a Pitt fan. You're 2-5.
Pitt
Shut
has
up.
beat
2
Clemson
and
more
5.
times in the last
I don't care.
decade
2
than
and
Penn
5.
State has beat
2
Ohio
and 5.
State.
You guys suck.
You guys are always just going to be.
This isn't a college podcast.
There's
This is the NFL.
I don't.
Can we talk
I'm
about
not.
the NFL?
It's just. It's funny when Pitt fans try to.
Pitt
Like,
has an ACC championship.
we
more recently
we
than
lost to
Penn State.
Ohio State this week. They lost to Wake Forest.
We beat Clemson more times in the last decade than Penn State.
We
has
haven't
beat
played
Ohio
Clemson.
State.
You guys haven't played Ohio State. They're 2 different teams. They both
Clemson
have
has
the
more
same.
national championships in the last decade
Dude,
than Ohio
NFL
State.
time. Let's
One.
go. All right, my trade is the Steelers going for.
Wait, you're right.
No, you go ahead. I
You
don't.
guys are taking. My trade is the Steelers trading for Budda Baker. Part of the reason is, I mean, we have Casey, who's a decent safety to have, but just imagine having Minka and Budda together. Budda won it out early on in the year, and then he rescinded the trade. But the Cardinals just have a horrible team. They're not that great, but they're playing pretty well. But I don't know. Just all in all, the Cardinals don't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. He's getting up there in age. I would totally give up a second rounder, maybe even a third rounder, but I think it's worth it to have maybe the best safety duo ever.
That's a lot of investment into the safety position.
Okay, but also we've been signing though. I'm fine with doing that because we go out there and sign people now.
What does that have to do with anything?
giving up the picks. I would give up the picks.
I don't know. I like accruing picks. I don't like buying, really. What do you guys say? Like, from the Steelers' perspective, how much better does Buda Baker make them? The defense is already so heavily invested in where, I don't know, I would rather just kind of stay young, keep those picks and the cap room for 2024.
See, I like Buda Baker personally. I always have. I guess from a Steelers perspective, to me, I don't know that safety is the area like Hayden said that they need to invest. Is like the guys that they have right now are playing well. Are they as good as Buda Baker? No, but at the same time, like there are other areas of the defense that could use an upgrade. Like we talked earlier this season about like Devin White. Like is Devin White available? If they could go out and get Devin White, I would love to invest some of what that would potentially be in Buda into somebody like Devin White who makes maybe more of an impact. It's like, Buda's at the end of his career. Like, yes, you're going to have to pay Devin White. But I mean, I don't know. It's tough to say. Like, obviously the Steelers need a corner. In my opinion, the Steelers have the two worst starting corners in the NFL with Levi Wallace and Patrick Peterson. And that's tough to say because Patrick Peterson is a borderline Hall of Fame guy who I've liked his whole career. And now it's like, in my opinion, like I said, they have the two worst starting corners. So I would rather them go out and get a guy who could actually improve that area, and they start Joey Porter Jr. and start those two guys rather than personally have a safety.
You think Buda's at the end of his career? I think he could play a long.
I mean, he got an extension. What, he's 3 more years on his?
Eli has the contract
He's
up
through
right now.
2024 and then unrestricted in 2025.
Yeah, okay. So
we would have 1.5 years. With them.
he's getting injured. He is the focal point of the defense that he's on. So, like, if he continues on with the Cardinals, yeah, I think he's near the end of his career because when he carries so much of the load, and let's be honest, his frame is kind of small, and the hits that he deals out to people is like, I mean, I would love for him to keep playing. Like I said, I'm a fan of Buda, but I just feel like with his play style, it's not sustainable for a 10-year career, I don't think. So
I think a good player comp to him would be what Jabril Peppers could have been in the NFL.
Yep.
Kind of like that hybrid box safety role. What makes Buda so special is he's actually played quite a bit of corner and nickel back in his career also. He can play all 5 positions in the secondary. I really like him, but I'm from a fan perspective, I'm just always very conservative with these moves. I'm fine with just building through the draft and accruing picks rather than shaking them out. Mm-hmm. But anything else to add on Buda?
No.
And you said you would give up a second and a third for him?
If it comes to that, I would.
You would? Mm-hmm. Eli, you want to go back to Saquon?
Yeah, sure. So as I was saying before Hayden so rudely interrupted, I think that the Giants just need to move on from Saquon because it's not going to get them any closer to a Super Bowl, let alone division championship or even just the playoffs. Their offensive line is just so bad that there's no point in keeping a generational back like Saquon is. I think if you pair that with, I don't think Saquon's quite at the level as CMC is right now. I think CMC's in his own tier. But I think a lot of teams see what the Niners were able to do with CMC as a way of saying a generational running back can get us closer to the Super Bowl as much as we crap on running backs. So I think that a team to look out for is the Bills. The Bills were rumored to trade for Saquon in the offseason when there were those contract disputes. There's been a lot of just talk with the Bills and the running backs. Obviously, they still have Cook and Murray, who have been doing all right. However, if you look at the Bills and their losses, they haven't been able to run the ball. In their opening loss against the Jets this year, they ran the ball for 97 yards. Against the Jags, they ran it for 29 yards, and Cook actually had negative yards in that game. Yeah. And then against the Patriots in the loss this past week, they had 81 rushing yards, and Josh Allen is currently their leading rushing touchdown leader, Josh Allen is their rushing touchdown leader. Sorry about that. Yeah. So I think that a running back, again, just the Bills, another weapon. If you have Diggs, you still have big play Gabe Davis, and then you have Saquon as well to go along with Josh Allen. I think that's dangerous. And I think, and the Bills have a couple solid tight ends. So I think the Bills can do a lot with Saquon. And again, I don't think the Giants have any worth in Saquon right now. What I would look to give up if I was the Bills, or what I would look to get if I'm the Giants, is I think a 2nd round pick would be great. The Bills also have 3 6th round picks in 2024. So maybe take 2 of those. So I would say like a 2nd rounder this year, and then maybe 2 6th rounders next year for Saquon for the Bills.
And that would be a slightly lower value than what Carolina got for CMC. So that does sound like a realistic trade. I mean, you know how I feel about the Bills. I think that they're kind of teetering with House of Cards, and a move might be made. Joe Shane or Sean McDermott might be gone after this year. So I don't hate the move from their perspective. I still think James Cook, Latavius Murray, and then they've kind of been flirting with Leonard Fournette since the Damian Harris injury. I think all of them can be productive backs, but something is clearly missing.
I think
been
their
Josh
their
Allen,
O-line's awful.
central.
They only have Dawkins, I feel like, and I feel like they're just not good at run blocking. Passing, they're not bad, and Allen just can't pass the ball that well, it seems like, this year. And
He just tries to
they
do
can't run
too
it.
much.
but their O-line, I just think their O-line can't block, because I think James Cook is actually really good, because when he can run, he puts up the stats for it.
Yeah, they get down a score, and then Josh Allen thinks he needs to play superhero, which in some cases he does, but then it doesn't turn out well because as good as he is, he's not Patrick Mahomes.
And as a Steelers fan, I hate this, but I'd rather see Saquon go to the Ravens over the Bills because the Bills have James Cook. Like, I would hate it, but it makes more sense to me for the Ravens to use him, or even the Bucks.
No, and like I think Eli mentioned them moving on from Saquon last week during the episode also. If they're going to do that, I need a lot of reassurances from the ownership that both my job as Joe Shane and my job as Brian Dable are safe, because that team gets a lot worse without 26 out there. Matt Breida is not a difference maker. Saquon is. So if I get the assurances and I get that compensation package, then I would start to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And again, I just want to bring it back to like the Niners. It's such an easy example, especially because it was just last year with CMC. So the Niners started; they were 4-3 to start the year. Or sorry, they were 3-3 to start the year. And in 2 of their 3 losses, they were short of 100 yards, like the Bills were in all of their losses. They then played the Chiefs and lost to the Chiefs, which was their first game with CMC. But in a limited role, because I think there were still rumors like, oh, maybe he won't play just to get him more organized with the offense. And then after that loss to the Chiefs with CMC, they won out. I'm not saying the Bills are going to win out if they trade for a running back like Saquon, but it just shows how impactful a generational running back can be, especially when you're just a couple pieces away like the Niners were last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know, there's obviously something missing from the Bills' offense, like Hayden had touched on there. And I don't know that just getting Saquon is going to fix it, but my thought process was like with that trade, okay, so you obviously have James Cook, who right now still has some value. So what if you can flip James Cook in a third or James Cook in a fourth into Saquon? So then you are keeping some of the picks that you potentially had, keeping a second rounder, and trading another running back who still has a lot of potential to a different team who might just get buried on the depth chart.
I like
otherwise.
that trade.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I like that too.
I think it benefits both teams maybe a little bit more, and it benefits the players more. Which I mean, I know that the teams don't care about that necessarily, but I like to see it when like a player gets like you don't want to see
Like a new
James Cook
start.
buried on the
Player
depth
for
chart.
player trades
Yeah.
rarely. Like we
Right.
saw it just yesterday with Terrell Edmonds for Kevin Byard with a 5th and 6th thrown in there also. I think we can all agree Philly got the better end of that deal, but at the same time, Edmonds, who love him or hate him, he's been a starter since he was brought in by Pittsburgh. He's going to be a starter in Tennessee, almost certainly,
Yeah.
especially with Byard leaving. So
Was Byard strong safety?
he's a
Free
free
safety.
safety.
So you think they
Evans
put-
has been strong safety.
I
so
think
they'll probably-
Philly's going to put him wherever they can. Reed Blankenship
They
has
have Sidney Jones
been a
still.
versatile piece, but also there's been some health concerns. Sidney Jones is there, as Christian just said, the rookie from Illinois.
Yeah. So do you think Edmonds? My thought was actually the other side for the Titans. Do you think Edmonds plays free safety?
No, I think he can play strong safety, and then Amani Hooker can
Amani
play
Hooker, that's who
free
it was.
safety. But do you guys remember who the second most likely team last year to get CMC was? They got outbid by the Niners.
Hang on.
It's that same coaching tree.
Rams.
Yes.
Mm.
The Rams were all in to get McCaffrey. They thought that was going to be last year's Von Miller, OBJ kind of move. San Fran outbids them, which those two teams have had similar interests before. San Fran wanted Matthew Stafford, but LA just scooped in and didn't let them even get a chance to outbid. Both love Kirk Cousins. That could be a thing if Minnesota moves on from him. They love these same kind of players. San Fran has CMC now. What if Saquon goes to LA? There's 3-4, 3-5 right now after the loss to Pittsburgh.
They're 3-3, I think.
But the offense, Stafford's bounced back. Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp are a dangerous duo. You have Higbee. The offensive line stepped up. You still have Aaron Donald. Saquon to the Rams, I think, would look very pretty. I don't know if that's just my bias against the Bills.
I wouldn't mind
I'd
that, but I would
rather
want them to give up Kyron Williams because I know like Kyron
He's hurt
Williams
though.
doesn't put
He's
up
out for at least another month.
I know, but I'm just saying like if they do end up doing like I would just I don't know.
They wouldn't though because he's out for a month.
I think McVay is almost like I like the idea of it, but I think McVay is almost too realistic and knows where his team is at. I think that like as much as it'd be cool for them to get Saquon and go for a run, they still have Seattle and San Fran to compete in their division. They have a really tough schedule coming up. I think that McVay knows that they're not right there.
I feel
and
like
I don't
McVay,
think that he would
and
sign
like what I
off on
said
it.
earlier, I think that like McVay this year is just to get everyone settled in, their young guys to get experience, and then they regroup next year and they just try and win this year basically.
Because you're still gonna have to sign.
And
You're
that's
still gonna
what-
have to
and
negotiate a
that's what they're
contract
doing,
with
yeah.
Saquon.
Yeah. See, I think that ever since
Which hold on, that's
Yeah,
actually a great point because CMC already had the highest paid contract for a running back, which
Yeah.
makes the Saquon trade a little bit more interesting where a team might not necessarily
Might just be
agree
a
to the
rental.
trade. Well, not
a
even a
sign
rent.
and-
Yeah, it's
sign
going to
and
be a
trade.
sign and trade, I think, which makes this a little bit harder to happen. I know the Giants and Saquon already said they don't want to, but also you have to say that Pete Carroll said he had no interest in trading Russell Wilson week before he traded Russell Wilson. I don't know how realistic that is in season to get a sign and trade, but that is a great point that Eli brought up. CMC already had his contract, made that trade and that transition a lot smoother.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, with the Rams piece and like the Sean McVay thing, like, I don't know that Sean McVay is sold on anything but a running back by committee right now because of the whole Todd Gurley experience and especially a running back who has a history of injuries like Todd Gurley did. I don't know that he necessarily wants to go out and get like that guy when he can. I mean, they're 3-4 in a division with, the 49ers. They're in a pretty decent division, right? And they've played some pretty decent opponents this year so far. Like to be 3-4, they're not a terrible team. I don't think anybody would argue that they're a terrible team this year. And they've done it with a running back by committee. So I don't know that in my mind that McVay is really like sold on having like a number one or a bell cow running back, which if you
He
go out
wanted
and
one
get
last year,
Saquon-
though. He wanted one last
That's
year.
true. I mean, it's true, but CMC is different. Like we talked about, he's in a tier of his own. Like there's nobody else in the tier that is CMC.
Would we have said that?
About Saquon, if he was with a different team,
Yeah.
potentially.
That's what because I still think, I don't know. I Saquon's ability to me is just amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, McCaffrey's is
But we also
same.
haven't
Like
seen
they're
Saquon with an
equals if
O-line
anything,
yet.
but I don't know. I just view those two kind of elevate. Which Nick Chubb, love him to death. Top 5 running back, maybe top 3. And he's been better than both of them. But those two, their potential sky high compared to his.
The Rams still have the Cowboys, the Seahawks, the Browns, the Ravens, and the Niners. So that's like 5 tough games right there. They're going to have to win at least 2 of those to only end up with like 7 losses and then win all those other games too. So they have you mentioned they have faced some tough opponents. They're still a solid team, but not only have they faced some solid opponents, but they also have a lot of solid opponents left on their schedule, which makes it tough.
Yeah, for sure. I can take it away with my trade. So initially, before last night, the Monday Night Football game, my trade was going to involve Kirk Cousins. But after the showing that he had in a primetime game, which is not very Kirk of him,
You like that?
you like that? I had to change mine because, I mean, there's no way that after his performance last night, I don't think anybody's going to argue that he's getting traded. Like, especially to do what he did without Justin Jefferson. It's just, I mean, there's no way he gets traded. So I had to change mine up a little bit last minute. But regardless of what Mahomes' stat line for this week was, I still do think that they need a better receiver on their roster. I think that there's still big question marks at that position. I mean, MVS can't go 3 for 86 every single week, right? I mean, Travis Kelce can't have 12 catches for 179 yards. He might, as long as Taylor Swift is there, apparently. I don't know that the way that they played, it was incredible to watch this past week. I don't know that that's sustainable to do every single week, especially against potentially in a team that actually has a secondary, unlike the team that they played this week. So I do still think that they need a receiver. There's two guys specifically that I think that they could potentially target, and they're actually not really the guys that most people are throwing out there.
Not speedsters.
Yeah, so the first one that people keep throwing out there pretty consistently is T. Higgins. I'm going to go along the same route because he's on the same team, but he's a guy that I've talked about a lot in the last 3 years and wanted him to get traded. He's in the last year of his contract. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. He's 28 years old. He has great hands. He's a good route runner, which is exactly what they need in Kansas City. I think Tyler Boyd, right? I think that, hail to Pitt. That's a little shout out to Hayden over here. I think Tyler Boyd would be a fantastic fit in Kansas City. In the past, I had talked about him potentially going and being on number 2 to Devontae in Green Bay because he'd be a good fit there too. I think Tyler Boyd is a great fit there. He's going to be cheap because he's 28. And he also, he hasn't made a ton of money in his career, really at any contract point. He's been a 2, he's been a 1, he's been a 2, and now he's a 3. He's seen success at every level of being a receiver, but right now he's kind of buried in that depth chart. Him and T are both free agents next year. So it's okay, if you're keeping one or the other right now, you want the 24-year-old T. Higgins, even though his contract's going to be bigger if I'm the Bengals. So if I'm the Bengals, I'm looking to move on potentially from Tyler Boyd instead. The other one, and people aren't really talking about this much, but he's in the second to last year of his rookie contract because they have a 5th-year option on him. Brandon Ayuk is a $14 million cap hit next year. Right now, the San Francisco 49ers are predicted to be $26 million over the cap next year. They signed Debo this past year. They have CMC on a massive contract. They have guys who have these big contracts. Nick Bosa just signed a massive contract too. Fred Warner on a huge contract. Can they really sign? Yeah, can they sign Ayuk?
Still,
Javaris Ward has a great contract.
Yeah. So the question, I don't think the question is can they sign Ayuk to an extension. I think is can they keep him on for next year. And I don't know that they can. I think at some point they have to move on from Ayuk.
They got Purdy to pay. They have Fonga to pay.
And let's be honest, Ayuk in the Kansas City's passing offense. That would be deadly.
How much do you think they would have to give up for him, though?
More than for Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Honestly, that might be a first rounder.
Oh, I think it is.
Yeah,
I think it is.
Yeah, he was a first round pick.
You may talk about him too.
Meanwhile, Tyler Boyd, you could kind of steal almost.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
because he is the.
But also, I don't see Cincinnati giving up T or Tyler Boyd, especially Boyd, because I feel like
Chiefs, especially
to the Chiefs, but also I feel like Boyd is the leader of that receiving group, and he's what holds them together and everything. He's definitely
he's the longest tenured Bengal on the team right now. I'm pretty
probably
sure
by a decent amount.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I think he means so much to Jamar and T
and the fans
that the fans that he doesn't want to go. He loves Cincy.
What would he be on out of KC's receivers?
Wide receiver 1.
Wide receiver 1 immediately.
It will be him.
Rasheed Rice would be number 2.
You sure you don't think Hardman would be?
Hardman had 1 catch this past weekend. I know it's his
I'm
first
just
week
saying.
back,
I'm just saying that because he's also used to the.
I mean, let's be
that
honest. Kelsey's still wide receiver.
Yeah,
Well,
and
yeah,
I think that the list of Kansas City's wide receivers is a bunch of 3s and some 2s. I think that Tyler Boyd being there could project him into the high 2/1, which a high 2 still puts him in that number 1 spot.
I just think.
I think he'd be around last year's Juju Smith-Schuster. I think they're similar receivers. Yeah. I think they've kind of teetered back and forth on who's better.
Year.
Oh yeah, 900 yards,
and he was hurt too. He was hurt for a couple games.
Yeah, and I just think that from the Chiefs' perspective, you look at the list of receivers that Mahomes hit this past weekend. It's a mile long. He hit every single receiver except for Justin Ross. Don't get me started. Who got arrested?
I dropped him on my dynasty league
because he got arrested
just for you.
Yeah. Anyway,
they did too.
I don't think that that's sustainable, especially in the playoffs when you start to play teams with good secondaries, with good defenses. I don't think that that's just as sustainable as having a guy who's consistent, who doesn't really get injured, who has really good hands. I think Tyler Boyd's the more realistic one. I think that a pipe dream would be Brandon Ayuk, and they would love it. But I also don't know that San Fran is going to trade away a guy who they think so highly of to a team that they're potentially going to see later on in the Super Bowl.
I just see a D-Hop trade happening more because I think Titans are shipping people off.
If I'm the Chiefs, I'm going for Tyler Boyd. I think that's I think that's a match made in heaven. I think you get him cheap. Again, just this 1 year. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. If you think about Tyler Boyd, you probably think oh, but he can't be that number 1 receiver. Oh, maybe he's benefited off of other guys. So in 2017, AJ Green was the Bengals' top guy still. and Tyler Boyd had 225 yards. That was his second year, maybe a sophomore slump. In his third year, AJ Brown, AJ Green.
You're like Hayden this week.
AJ Brown. AJ Green started to decline. Had some injuries. Tyler Boyd stepped up to be that number one receiver, had over 1,000 yards. 2019, the year before they got T. Higgins, over 1,000 yards. They then got T. Higgins and then the year after Chase, and he was still able to put up about 800 yards. So I think he proved that he could be that number one receiver, although it was 4 or 5 years ago. So I think, again, I would think Tyler Boyd, he can't be that number one, but he's proven to be that he can do it.
And I don't even think in the Chiefs offense he needs to be, because like we said, there's still Kelsey there. Pacheco's really broken out
Pacheco
in year
had
2.
4 or 5 catches this past weekend. Like,
No, and I think that if they're smart, they should continue to hand him the ball off on
He's
the ground. instead.
yeah.
So if they can get just like a 900 to 1,000 yard season from Tyler Boyd, which in today's league isn't really that crazy to ask for, then all of a sudden that's a huge upgrade to their room.
agreed. So,
All right.
Omaha. Time for an audible. Top 5 NFL past or current stadiums.
We going off of history, environment? What? Do you guys
What?
wanna
Yeah.
go
What's
off
the
of?
like? I mean,
I'm going
are
off
we going?
environment.
I mean, number one's got to be
Environment.
Lambeau, right?
And if we're going history, yeah.
History and environment, I would say even today.
You think environment over
It's pretty
KC?
wild.
Their environment.
I mean, the fact that every
Arrowhead,
single
dude.
the fact that like every
Yeah,
single
but
person
Lambeau-
there is a part
Lambeau's-
owner.
Lambeau's just so cool.
Lambeau, it's on my bucket list to go
Freezing
to Lambeau.
Oh, me
cold in
too.
like
Right.
November.
Yeah,
and
dude.
they don't have it's basically a college stadium almost.
Yeah.
All right, what past stadiums will we do here?
Past stadium.
Three Rivers
I
has
would
to
say
be.
Three Rivers,
Candlestick. I don't even. What was Dallas?
Coliseum, the Coliseum.
The
Oh, I don't know,
Coliseum.
but the Coliseum maybe.
And I'm not saying any of those three should be on the list, but
Yeah.
those are the only
Dude,
past ones.
the only past team I remember was the Vikings when they got destroyed by snow.
Oh yeah.
like you have to include SoFi just because of how ridiculous. Like it is the
pretty
future.
dope.
Allegiant.
Like even if
See,
you're
I
gonna,
like Allegiance. I
Yeah,
think
but
Allegiant
see,
Stadium is
either
the
one of
coolest in
those
the
two, you
league.
just
Right?
have to
then you
put
got
at, like,
put
number
Allegiant
5
and then
at
you got
least.
put Minnesota's in.
Minnesota's US
broke the
But we I
bank.
say we just
Minnesota
include one or
broke,
two
like,
of
the market
those
for
and then
stadiums
filter
like
the
that.
rest with history and environment. instead
So
of-
can we all agree that number one is Lambeau? Is that something
Yeah,
that
I'm
we're?
good.
Number
I'm good
2
with
is
that.
Arrowhead though. Dude, Arrowhead's
I mean, I don't
nuts.
necessarily disagree with that.
Arrowhead's
How long?
nuts.
Can you look up how long Arrowhead? How is that their long-term stadium? Because
Yeah.
like how long? Like, because like at this point, like early 2000s is a long time ago.
Yeah,
Like Heinz
yeah.
Field is old.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Heinz
And
Field's
if-
not
if-
going
if
on.
we're-
Acrisure.
opened in
hate-
1972.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's
hate
I mean
it.
that's
Has
Arrowhead's
been
been around
open in
forever.
So
1972.
Arrowhead's number 2.
All right, yeah, I think that has to be
that's
number
number
2.
two.
I mean,
Because
if
right
we're-
now it's the most.
if we're doing
dominant.
environment
Soldier.
too, you
Nobody
have to-
mentioned Soldier Field. I think it's garbage. As far as
It's like-
what it looks like,
I think it
'Cause
kind of
it's
looks
old.
cool on the
It's
inside.
old,
I think it kind of looks. It's old, but it
It's
looks
so
kind of cool to
his-
me.
Oh, FedEx guys, come on! Everybody knows
Shut
FedEx
up.
Field is the
Shut
best
up.
one.
What about Jerry's World? Just because it's Jerry's World.
Wait, and also worst stadium. Worst stadium.
That's FedEx. FedEx is the worst field. I
Yeah.
mean, I've never been there, but the stories I've heard of it, it's FedEx Field. It's Washington D.C.
I'm
Second
putting-
worst is the Jet Stadium, probably. 'cause of
MetLife.
the- Yeah,
Met, but from a fan perspective, MetLife's fine. It's just from a player's
the
perspective.
outside
you're
of it's
right,
so ugly looking. I don't know. It looks weird.
I mean, there was probably like some NFL team in like 1950 that was playing in like or an AFL team that was playing in like a pure crap.
Ran out of
Also,
words
I've heard Jacksonville Stadium is awful as well.
It's pretty
What,
bad.
you don't like the swimming pool?
I was about to
Really?
say,
You know
only thing in it.
Hey,
They don't clean that crap.
I bet they do. I don't think that
All
they.
right. So do we say Lambeau? Do we agree on
Lambeau.
Arrowhead?
Yeah.
Arrowhead at 2.
If we're going off environment, we might have
Seattle.
to do Seattle because of the environment.
Seattle
12th man.
is So nice.
Yeah, but Arrowhead's louder than
What's
them.
Seattle
so
called
I'll
now?
put-
It used to be CenturyLink. Now what is it?
Yeah, I don't know what they call it now. I just
But
It's
at 3 though.
Pfizer.
At 3 though.
It's the Pfizer Stadium.
Actually,
No, that's Arrowhead. Sorry.
Lumen
Mr.
Field.
Pfizer.
Hello, man.
The Seattle stadium is nice though.
At number 3.
I think Seattle Stadium, like when you think just playoffs, like that
are you
Marshawn
thinking like
Lynch,
Legion Boom and everything?
yeah,
at the
like
time?
that is nuts. Those NFC
fair.
Championship.
It's-
Yeah, but
games.
yeah,
it is the
Just
loudest
but you
stadium.
could you could
Chiefs
you
and
could argue
12s are the
you
are the
could
loudest.
argue
Alright.
Chiefs is like that now.
If we're
with,
going
like,
off
Legion
of
and Boom,
environment,
if we're
I'm
going.
fine with
It's
it.
also just
It was
a very
different.
unique built stadium. Like none of them look like that.
Right.
It was built to be loud.
Keep
Yeah,
the state,
yeah.
keep the sound in. I think
That's fair.
because
I
like
have
you
no
say
problem
that's
with that.
Arrowhead now, but there was something just Maybe it's just a
Burrowhead,
defensive thing.
Bro, stop.
Maybe it's just the defensive thing with Legion of Boom, but I just love.
I mean,
watching
I'm
those
fine with
playoff
flip
games in
flopping them,
Seattle.
but to me, like I can't compare those two because they're just.
So we have
both so
Lambeau,
loud.
Arrowhead, Seattle.
I think Arizona might be an honorable mention with the
Their stadium's
roof
cool.
opens
The
up.
retractable roof.
Oh, I mean, I might be biased because I've been there, but like Lucas Oil is massive.
Oh, yeah.
I think that stadium's cool. Just the
Lucas-
outside looks stupid.
Dude, Lucas Oil
Looks
is
like a factory.
so massive.
Like to me,
Yeah.
the new Tennessee stadium, I think like it's.
But that doesn't even exist yet. That doesn't even
No,
exist
I'm just
yet.
saying like that's why I feel
All
like
right,
Lucas
so
looks
we have those
stupid.
three. Do we want to throw SoFi in there, or
think
do we
we-
want
think
to?
you-
Or
I
we
think
want to
we
do a
have to
Legion?
SoFi.
Because I think we should do
Yeah,
a
I think you
Legion
do one of
or
those. Yeah, I don't
SoFi.
think
Do you want to? Do we want to just do a tie?
Do a tie, yeah. The new age. We'll do the new age ones.
Yeah.
Both of them.
And I don't know. We're getting a little heavy, but Minnesota even.
Yeah,
Could
I mean, we could throw off the. We'll just say the new age stadiums,
Yeah, yeah.
the new ones that are the
No,
new
we-
domes.
I forgot Atlanta's too. We got
The old
if we're gonna
Georgia
throw
Dome.
Atlanta's
Atlanta.
is pretty dope.
No,
I've
what's
been there
five?
for the Peach
Chick-fil-A Bowl?
Yeah, the
Chick-fil-A
Chick-fil-A
Peach Bowl. Well, all right, five.
Heinz at 5.
No,
No,
No?
you can't do
Okay.
that. It's-
Oh,
I'm
that's
putting
all
that at
biased.
worst. I would.
Oh, I'm
put-
sorry. I meant Three Rivers. I didn't mean to say Heinz.
Okay, I mean Three Rivers. You have the Immaculate Reception,
What's
and
Three Rivers
it was
even look like?
it was pretty.
It was like a circle dome.
Yeah,
not the dome.
not a dome, but
What do you hate
Coliseum
Heinz
almost.
so much?
It's not
It's-
that good, dude.
it's ugly. The seats aren't pretty.
What's
Nothing.
Heinz?
Yeah,
For
Acrisure.
sure.
I mean, like, it may not be pretty, but the environment.
Especially on a pit football Saturday with
Listen,
5,000 people in the
People who
crowd.
say what's Heinz is like, listen, the Steelers were Heinz Field at one point. It's like saying that RG3 played for the Commanders. RG3 did not
No,
play for
I'm
the
just
Commanders.
playing,
RG3
like-
played for the Redskins.
That
Say what
is-
you want
No,
about
I
the
still
name.
call it Heinz.
I would
That-
put First Energy, the Brown
stadium's
Stadium,
so
and that
weird
same
looking.
FedEx. So there's three bad ones.
Dude, the Raiders
don't-
Stadium with
Oh
the
my
baseball
gosh.
field at the
Oh
bottom.
my
Yeah, the
I hated
Oakland
watching games
Coliseum.
with the dirt on the
Oakland
field.
Coliseum was bad.
We're doing a
It's
lot.
so-
better.
it
We're,
looks
we're
like
having a lot easier with the
It looks
crappy.
like
I don't like
Three
any-
Rivers looks like the Coliseum.
I don't like any
Was
Coliseums.
that the ath-
I don't even like LA
athletics,
Coliseum.
baseball
that's kinda
team, is that
ugly.
where
Yeah.
the Raiders played with the
Yeah.
athletics?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Oakland
When they
Coliseum.
were open.
I don't like any Coliseums
What about
because you're
us
so
find
far
this
away from the
Oh, we can
field.
say Jerry's World. Should we say
Yeah,
Jerry's
Jerry
World?
World's at 5.
Jerry World at 5.
And then for our
Easy.
fifth of the worst, San Diego's old stadium, didn't they just like have like random teams' jerseys like all around?
Yeah, that was-
right.
It was like a soccer field, I think. Or
they
no,
played
no.
on
They
a
played
soccer
at
field.
they played on a soccer
Yeah.
field in between.
While they're
that,
waiting for
right?
SoFi.
Yeah.
But
Chargers old street.
good stuff.
You're a trade?
Good audible.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I got more like heated than I thought, or not heated, but good conversation sparked out of it.
That doesn't look that bad.
Hey Christian, what is it?
It's a Chargers stadium, old one.
I don't like it,
Kind of looks like Three Rivers a little bit.
but it doesn't have the history.
That's
It
fair.
doesn't have history, but it looks like
But it's
it.
not Pittsburgh.
Amen.
Facts. All right, so my trade, we mentioned the Niners a lot there, whether it was CMC or Ayuk. I want Cordero Patterson to go there.
To where? I'm sorry.
San Fran. I think this was the first week that we've really seen him have a role in Atlanta's offense with Bijan and Algier, which we don't even have to touch on the Bijan.
That's the only reason Hayden beat me in fantasy is because Bijan.
Well,
sat
don't
down.
worry. I had Bijan in a different league, so it happened right back. But I feel like, and
You actually,
Stupid ladybugs.
It's
I don't
that
even
time
know
of
where
year
it
where
went.
all
Probably
the
in my hair.
ladybugs
They
are-
just like
Just
they
jump on your
crawl
shoulder.
through.
that was sick. We need a yeah, the clip that was cool. All right, you got it. Yeah.
Hey,
So just because I'm a ladybug doesn't mean I'm a lady.
boom, there it is.
Bugs Life, right?
here you go, buddy.
New mascot.
All right, I do have a question. Like, well, what?
Sponsor us, PETA.
All right, so Cordero Patterson finally had a role, but it was just because Bijan was out. I think that there is a world where in this Atlanta offense, London, Pitts, Algier, Robinson, and Patterson could all get touches, but I don't think that's the world we're living in. So I would rather Patterson go. He's literally on the Falcons depth chart as a joker position. Put him with Kyle Shanahan, please, and just see what happens. I think San Fran needs an RB2. I know you're big on Elijah Mitchell, Josie. I just haven't really seen it
touch.
since his rookie year. I think Jordan Mason's an all right back, and everyone's going to be somewhat productive in a Kyle Shanahan offense. But Cordero Patterson not only gives them the runaway RB2 position, he also helps them at wide receiver, especially if Ayuk does get moved. And then in addition to that, a kick return. Do we really need like the Niners to get stronger in any
What
way?
about Rayburn McLeod?
Is he returning
No.
kicks?
Yeah,
I thought he
he
was
is.
returning just punts only.
I mean, I don't know. He's just doing good. He's doing better in
doing
San
both.
Fran. Better. Than,
He can have punt because Cordero Patterson, for whatever reason, hates punt returns. So he can do punt returns like Cordero, return kicks, get like 5 to 8 touches offensively. I think that's just another way for the Niners to get stronger. Atlanta can focus on the younger backs because although I think Bijan, Pitts, and London should be getting the ball more, I'm fine with Tyler Algier getting the ball. It's not a Tyler Algier thing. It's a let's get everybody involved thing. I would rather have that than in less John U. Smith, less Mac Hollins.
What do you think they'd have to give up for him?
Late round pick.
Yeah, they could get him for a 6.
Because the salary is actually relatively high for what he is. He's older. How many years does he have left?
I'm getting really confused by his contract, but I think this is his last year, and then there must be some sort of option. I think it's, I think
those
he's
are
out.
void years. Those are void years,
Right, yeah.
probably. Just for cap reasons.
Yeah,
so,
just dead cap after this
yeah.
year.
So
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned San Fran, obviously, but earlier in the podcast you mentioned LA Rams.
yeah.
For what? So, like, in my opinion, like, Cordero Patterson started out as a returner and wide receiver, and when they put him in a running back, like, he showed that he can run the ball too. Like, he's not just a gadget guy. Like, he ran the football very well. And like, if you talk about like LA and like their lack of consistency at that position, it's like you talked about give it to Shanahan, like give it to McVay.
yeah.
He could do a lot with it too. Like, I think that
And when, like
either one
Christian
makes
said,
sense.
when Kyron Williams comes back and Daryl Henderson, like they can still do their committee approach.
I'd rather him go to the Rams, but also
I just don't think CMC is ever going to come off the field regardless. He could have Jonathan Taylor backing up and CMC wouldn't come off the field.
Put them both on the field.
I mean, he could.
I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I
But
think
they're
those
not-
two and use
they,
check.
they
Wing,
literally said
run
they're
wing
not going to be
T.
using CMC as much. He's
I
literally.
think that's a smoke screen.
Eli was-
CMC does not come off the field ever. He is the most well conditioned player in the entire league.
Here's another one. Buffalo. It gives them another explosive option without having to make that huge move that for whatever reason they seem against. Eli, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I think because you said that they could be for a late round pick, I don't think it's too much risk. So I don't hate it. I just would be a little concerned that his usage would go way down when Debo comes back. So like I see him as a stopgap guy until Debo comes back. I don't think they'd use him a ton here or there, and then obviously kick returners as well. But if it's for a 6th round pick or a 7th round pick, and you can get a few extra wins out of him, then go for it.
I would love to see everyone except for Bijan get traded from Falcons on offense because Arthur Smith's overrated.
They're winning the division. Right
He
now.
sucks. He doesn't know how to use all his players. What's the point of spending all those first rounders and not using them?
They're winning the division, so whatever. I don't love the way he's doing it, but it's working.
It's a pipe dream, but I would love to see Kyle Pitts go to a contender. It won't happen. Like he's
I would
gonna,
love to see
it's
Drake
going to cost way
London.
too much.
Imagine
Chiefs.
Drake London on like the Chiefs or something. He might
Oh,
be
100%.
like
Imagine Kyle Pitts on the Chiefs.
I would
He could
rather
be a
have
wide
Kyle
receiver.
Pitts on the
They
Chiefs than
yeah.
any
Arthur
receiver.
Smith does not know how to use his guy. And also my question is because I'm confused by the investigation. Of, like, what are they investigating them for the Bijan thing? Like,
Because
do they
he
just not
wasn't-
believe
Got
him?
it.
He wasn't listed on the injury report, but they knew before the game that he wasn't gonna play.
So is it like a health
lot.
matter for him?
It's more than
basically?
mainly like a
You're not-
gambling
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
honestly.
You're not allowed to you have
It's
to
asking
report
for
it
a
as an
lawsuit
injury.
for all the fantasy owners like me and Josie, for all the props bettors that bet his over on touches, yards, touchdowns, anything like that. It's just a lawsuit waiting to happen. In addition to that, there is a competitive disadvantage in the NFL, but that's more of a footnote compared to the gambling thing because
Like maybe the
That's where all
line
the
drops
money's
by a
coming
half,
from.
which maybe that flips millions of Vegas gamblers that do that for a living.
Was he even listed as questionable?
no, he wasn't
wasn't
on
on the
the
That's what
report.
I'm saying. Like that's yeah.
which is wrong, and they should send out a memo to the league. But also, do not give them some insane fine or loss of draft pick because every team does it. The Falcons are just so egregious because Bijan's like the fantasy darling.
Like,
So-
could they have just
and
been
then
like,
I was
oh
just
no,
playing
he
the
was
guy
fine.
and
We
then
just
not
he
using
just
him.
wasn't in our
Yes.
game plan this week, and then it probably would have just gone swept under the rug. And how many teams have done that where they probably somebody's been sick, they didn't list them, and they're probably just like, yeah, he wasn't in our game plan this week, and then nothing happened.
I do want to say we had 4 hypothetical trades, but this is the time of year where ring chasers start to happen. We saw Julio sign last week. There's still some veterans out there who, if healthy, could make a run at it. Edge rusher Robert Quinn, center Ben Jones, Jarvis Landry, the wide receiver Leonard Fournette.
Jarvis Landry, I haven't heard that name in forever.
I know, and I question his health in a
He's
bit.
so
I
good.
see Lyle Collins right there. Frank Clark, he never officially signed with.
Honestly,
the-
Giants should
Steelers
sign
just
like
cut Desmond
every
King.
Yeah.
like best offensive lineman on free agency right now, and they're all line.
Gunnar Olszewski?
He signed with the Giants practice squad.
Yikes.
The Washington
doesn't
Commanders
wanna
could
ring.
probably sign like quarterbacks and play
Like,
them at offensive
why
line
wouldn't
and
the
it'd be
Giants
better
go?
than
I
what
mean,
they
even
got.
though like he's
Casey
old,
Hayward,
contender,
that's
like,
another
bring
big
Ben
one.
Jones and make your own bet.
Melvin Ingram, like there's still
Casey
some.
Hayward's still a free agent.
And Jarvis Landry was so good.
William Jackson still is too, and he hasn't played since
yeah.
his injury.
There's some guys out there, so all those, and then we had some bigger names. Those like mid-level guys that could be traded for a late round pick, they can be the difference. Ndamukong Suh, another free agent. These are the guys that are kind of brought in midseason. I think of the Eagles. They were and still are great with this with Howie Roseman. They just brought in Kevin Byard last year. Brought in Sue and Linval Joseph to ensure the D line. Jay Ajayi, the Super Bowl year.
Yeah, I saw somebody talking about this recently. It's kind of along the same lines, but there's a lot of edge rushers available apparently for trade right now. Like when you talk about guys like Danielle Hunter is out there, you got both the edge guys from the Commanders, you've got Brian Burns. It's like I saw somebody mention this. Like imagine the Lions went out and got somebody to pair one of those guys to pair on the other side of Agent Hutchinson. Like that would take care of a lot of their issues on defense, if we're being honest. Like pairing somebody up with Aiden Hutchinson there, like I know we're done with our hypothetical trades, but like bringing in another edge guy to the Lions would make that team even better than they currently are.
This is like a true, honest question. Like, what's up with Chase Young? Just because I haven't heard so much about
I think
him.
he's unmotivated.
but
right now.
but
He's
he's
still
not
playing all
hurt.
the
He's
time,
playing.
He's
Yeah,
had a
he
lot
has
of
played.
injuries.
He has a handful. He's done a lot better than what he has the previous 2 years. Just the rookie year set expectations way too high.
mean, the
he had
Jonathan-
7 sacks, but people are talking about him like a
he
Hall
was
of
so good
Famer.
in
The
college.
Jonathan Allen interview, if you guys didn't see that after the game, is like it's a perfect representation of being on that Commanders team right now. Is like he's just like, I mean, he doesn't
Like the
care.
7
fed
years
up
thing
with
or
it.
whatever.
And he's just like, effing done with this. It's the same effing thing for 7 years, like blah blah blah, all this stuff. Like when you
think
drop
that's a
that many
sign to
F bombs
get-
in an interview, like you are done.
I
You
think
don't
that's
care.
a sign to hear your best, arguably best player on your team to get rid of Rivera if you want to keep him too.
I saw somebody say like Bieniemy and Rivera are both gone after this season, but the way it's gone so far, I'm like, that's wild to think about.
I mean, it's
But-
possible
Right.
just
Yeah.
because everyone wants to pursue a offensive-minded head coach, and if you're an offensive-minded head coach, you're not going to want that hot of a coordinator name to
Yeah.
be in your ear.
I mean, putting up 7 points against borderline the worst defense in the NFL says something. Like, it can't all be on Sam Howell.
it was at
He's
home,
got
wasn't
sacked
it?
42
I mean,
How
times.
many
was at
sacks did he
FedEx.
get? This,
It's what's that?
did they get a lot of sacks? This
I don't know,
The
actually.
Giants
I
got
know
a
he
lot
was
this
on pace, like we said last week, for like 96 or something like that
Yeah.
to shatter the record. But, like, they're just, I don't know. It's bad.
probably only like 1 or 2.
I also don't think Sam Howell's their guy though. Like,
No, but I still
It
think
was
he
bad.
is over Brissett. So, I mean, I'd rather keep on
six
rolling.
sacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he's on pace to be
I like just
By far,
that probably
the
just made
most
Thibodeau look
ever.
like a good edge rusher this year so far when he sucked.
I don't know if he got how many he got.
He's been hot and cold all year. But
Yeah, he had 1.5 this against the Commanders. Dexter Lawrence had 2.
I think that's 3 for him on the year.
Poor Commanders. Poor Howell.
poor commies. Yeah. Josie, you have a trivia question ready?
I do. So, kind of like I've been doing these past couple weeks, I have one, and then depending on how long it takes, I do have a second one prepared. So,
And let me and Eli have time this. Don't be rushing us. Me and Eli.
I'm
Me and Eli.
smart,
did-
bro.
Okay, you
Get smart. What can I tell you?
it's my good
Man,
movie.
get your
Put those
dogs
dogs away. Jesus.
Can you smell that?
It took me
on
Eli
the
like
YouTube
5
video?
minutes, and we worked as a team. It took us a
All
little.
right, let's go.
All right, so the question is, and this is focused around these next coming weeks, the topic of league MVP is going to be a very hot topic. People are going to have a lot of way too early votes on who the MVP is, so on and so forth. People are going to say Mahomes, which right now is a huge argument that it's him. The question is, who are the 2 players in NFL history to be unanimously named MVP? And if you can get the year, that's bonus points.
Thank you, sir.
I was gonna say,
think
this
I
is a
have
tougher one.
I think I have one of them.
Okay.
I
Who is
think I
it?
have
Well,
one.
do you want to wait or do you want to just go with
Are
one?
you gonna get mad at me if I say it?
No, I'm just gonna
I have
say
one that
agree.
I think is like.
I just have one, but I just feel like it's just like an easy guess. to try and
Lamar 2018.
Lamar 2019.
Okay.
It's his one MVP. It was just 19, not
Okay.
20.
Is the other
Well,
one?
it was the 18-19 season, so
Yeah,
that as
okay.
well.
I was gonna say like Cam Newton that one year.
The Cam Newton, that was 2015, and he did not.
Who else was up there that year? Peyton.
There's only one other one. It is a quarterback, obviously, because it's a quarterback award.
Well, I mean, Peyton has 5 MVPs
Was
and
this
Rodgers
Patrick
has
Mahomes?
4. So just playing the numbers.
Was it Mahomes' first year starting?
Hit Mahomes 20.
He did
I feel like there's too many good quarterbacks that
He
year.
didn't. Oh,
It
I
was
thought.
not Mahomes, and Mahomes was 20. He was drafted in 17, so it must have been 18 when
Was
he won
it-
MVP the year right before Lamar. Yeah,
Was
I mean,
it,
numbers-
was it Rodgers the year that he requested a trade because that was like all the Jordan Love rumors after he won it?
I feel like it's Rodgers or Peyton just because numbers wise, like that's 9 MVP.
I feel like it'll be Rodgers over Payton more.
I'll just say Peyton just to go against you, just to make it interesting.
Well, one year Peyton actually shared the MVP with Steve McNair. I think that was
Well,
2006.
before you talk about year,
Dude, they should do that.
talk,
honestly. I
like
mean,
throw out a player. and tell you
That's
yes or no.
boring.
Well,
okay, then maybe
wh-
you do offense and defense.
I'll go Rodgers.
No.
Peyton.
No,
Oh, all right. Well,
that's
then-
why I didn't want you to go too far down that rabbit hole.
Thank you
before
for that because
yes.
I was
like
very
Favre.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw a little eye.
Yeah.
Do you want the year, or is that going to give it away?
Just give it. No, give us a decade. Give us a
Or give
decade.
you a
Decade.
range, like a
Yeah,
5-year range.
decade. Decade.
2010s.
Okay.
That doesn't help a lot.
I really don't think it's Brady.
It can't.
I don't feel it. I feel like he doesn't have.
Wait,
the-
is this a hard one?
That'd be too obvious if it is Brady.
Oh, I was gonna say if it was like
I feel like it
out
was
there,
too
man.
obvious for Patrick Mahomes.
It's hard
for
because
me.
if you think
I
about it,
was
those
like,
it's,
no
it
way.
was like at
Wasn't
least
there a
14
thing with like
years
MVPs
ago.
not winning Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like,
The
well,
year.
Kurt
All right.
Warner.
Here's
Kurt
what
Warner. No.
he said.
no, not in
2010s.
2010s.
What I'm thinking is Matt Ryan in 2016.
Oh, and they went like 15 and
Yeah,
one.
because Derek Carr
You
was
said
like
no.
number
You
2.
already
I
said
know,
no.
but
He was not
right.
unanimous that year.
No.
2010.
Russell?
Russell never won it.
We'll say Russell didn't.
Russell doesn't even have an MVP.
Are you gonna go through the
bonus
teams,
for-
Christian?
Neither did
Huh?
Trent.
It
Go
wasn't
through the
Drew
teams with
Brees
me?
2011.
Repeat
Was
the
it?
question one more time, just to like.
Unanimous MVPs. There's only 2 of them. We got Lamar 2019, and the other one
Brees, Brady,
happened.
Rodgers.
It was 20.
Was it Breeze?
I already
It
said
was
Brees.
2010.
The year was 2010.
The year was
Drew
20.
Brees?
The year was 2010.
Drew Brees.
I thought you didn't say Bruce.
Drew Brees was 09 or 11.
11.
was in the
11.
Super Bowl 2010? Was it?
2010
Well,
was Packers.
Was it Steelers
Yeah.
Packers?
It was Brady. Brady was MVP that year.
It was Tom Brady.
Oh.
Oh, I thought we already said Brady.
I
So
thought we did say Brady
You
too.
guys never said Brady to
Okay.
me. You
We
said
said,
Brady amongst
Brady,
yourselves.
ah,
You never
nah.
said it to me.
So it was that
Yeah.
obvious for us?
So-
I was gonna say
Brady-
Brady won MVP
Yeah.
that year.
Brady 2010, Lamar Jackson 2019, the only unanimous MVPs in the NFL.
I thought Brady I knew he won it, but I thought he
Yeah.
was very close with
That's what I
everyone.
thought.
And then this one's semi difficult, but in honor of, well, not in honor of, because I'm not a hater, but Brett Maher got cut from his team this week because he had a very poor performance.
Wait, hold on. Josie just said in honor of somebody getting fired and losing
I
his
just-
job in this economy.
I put a caveat in there. My question is, what is the record for most field goals in a single game? And the question is, how many? And do you know the name of the guy who did it?
Most
Oh,
people-
is this Steven Hauschka?
Nah. I'm gonna go 8. Sebastian Janikowski.
8 is correct. Sebastian Janikowski is not,
Vinatieri.
not Vinatieri. I'll tell you,
It's too
you
easy
will
to say
you will
Tucker, right?
recognize his name. He's not a household name, but I think that you guys will know his name.
What decade?
That's a great question. I think it was
Was it the Jaguars? Josh Gordon?
prior to like
I'm
09.
gonna say Scobie.
I
I
can
was
look
just
it
thinking
up if
Scobie
you- I
because
can
he
look
said
it up.
that just made me think of Scobie.
Was it
because
the
that's like type of
Lions kicker?
Scobie was
Yeah.
No, but that's the correct division.
What?
Packers.
Oh, North.
Mason Crosby.
Mm-mm.
Who's the Viking
Oh.
kicker that
Who's the
time?
Vikings?
Gary Anderson.
Mm-mm.
Morden Anderson.
It wasn't Blair Walsh, was it?
Oh.
Because he wasn't on the team yet.
Josie.
Is it?
I'm looking. Hold on.
Either one of the, so you don't even know the answer to it?
Wait.
I'm looking to
He's
make sure I get you the.
looking-
Blair
okay.
Walsh wasn't on the
So-
team. At the
The
time.
Lions kicker.
I was incorrect. It was not that division. I was thinking of somebody. I was thinking of him playing for a different team. He played for the Tennessee Titans from 05 to 2013.
Dude, No, I'm thinking the punter. Shoot. My bad.
I was thinking the player I was thinking of. I thought he played before Robbie Gold with the Bears. He did not.
Suckup wasn't their kicker.
No, Suckup
was
was
the Chiefs, right?
Suckup started with the Chiefs, then went to Tennessee.
I only remember their punter. I don't remember their kicker.
Shoot, that's recent enough where I should know it.
Mhm.
I really don't know their kicker.
He played for the Steelers in 2004.
Oh,
He was practice squad guy.
okay.
He played for the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Steelers, and the Titans. Are the
Did he
NFL
kick
teams.
for like anyone else other than Tennessee?
All of those that I named were all practice squad guys, so I don't believe so. He only really saw playing time with the Titans.
Any ideas? Do you guys want to wave the white flag?
No,
I
I just
You
remember
don't
the
want
punter.
to?
No.
I just remember the punter, dude. I can't
What's his
remember.
first name start with?
R.
Makes me think of
Ryan.
Suck Up again.
Right, yeah.
for real.
It's probably Ryan.
His initials are RB.
Bullock.
Rodrigo Blankenship.
No, it's
What'd
not
you say?
Bullock.
You
Bullock?
think Randy Bullock?
That's
Bullock-
he was
Bullock
later
came
on guess, but no.
Bullock came after the Steelers,
I just
That's
said.
what we
I just
had,
thought RB.
but that
His name is Robert. He goes by Rob. Rob B.
Just don't say it though.
you know, hidden.
I'm surprised
I
that
don't
that didn't
know.
give it away.
Rob.
Can we say it?
No.
I'm gonna know it as soon as you
Rob
say it.
B. What?
Rob.
B next letter.
All right, Eli.
Well, I'd rather.
BI. Oh my gosh. All right, it's Rob Baronis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a name
Yeah.
that like you wouldn't
I'm
have
not
got
mad
it, but
at
as soon as I
myself.
said it, you're like, yep, I've heard
You're
that
mad
name
at
before.
yourself?
I'm not mad at
Oh,
myself.
okay.
Rob
I was-
Baronis
I heard the
at
name, but I would never.
I have
gotten
not
it.
heard that name
Yeah.
in so long.
Rob, think about that for
Did he
a
make
second.
any
look up
Pro
the,
Bowls?
like
Did he
score
make
of
any
that
Pro
game.
I just exited the tab.
Okay.
He think about that. 24 points just by your kicker.
Imagine having
That's-
him
that's
in fantasy.
insane.
Him in fantasy would have.
Oh my gosh.
Also, if you hit Control Shift T, you can open up your previous tab.
Eli's pulling it up right now. Can you go up just a little?
Especially they were like
Well,
50.
He made the
field goals,
Pro
too.
Bowl and was a first team All Pro in 2007.
And won the PFW Pro Football Weekly Golden Toe Award.
That must have been for his 8 field goals in 2007.
Do you know what year it was?
It looks like 2007 if that's
Okay.
what he won it for.
I'm like, I just want to see like if they scored like 40 that game or.
Most points scored in a game with no touchdowns, 26.
Wow.
So they must have also had a safety.
That's like
Yeah.
that's a Chris Boswell playoff
Yeah,
game
I was
right
gonna say
there.
that was the first
Yeah.
thing.
I mean,
thought
he's-
was against the Chiefs.
He scored 239.
That playoff game.
He scored 239 field goals in his career, and he had an 85.6% accuracy rate. So that's pretty good.
That's Hall of very good.
Yeah, and he had a 60-yard was as long, so like it wasn't just dink and dunks. So yeah, those are two little. They were a little harder this week. So
No, and I
Yeah.
liked him.
Mhm.
I can't believe we didn't guess Tom Brady. It felt too easy to guess him.
Yeah.
That's why it was a good trap question.
Yeah.
This isn't even the game.
I really would have thought Breeze if it was 2010.
1 year too early. All right, you guys ready to wrap it up?
Let's do it.
All right, this has been the Second and Short podcast. Like Josie said, we're going to have Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram links for you guys. Stay with us. Thank you for joining in. We have some stuff that we're working on. Next week, we're actually going to look at our preseason predictions, see how we're kind of faring. We're going to keep those on the side. We're also going to update them if any of us want to make any changes. And we have also another couple of fun segments for you guys. It's the Second and Short podcast. Thank you.